This short video is just to explain an assignment here in English PACE 1128. On page 19, there's an assignment that says we are to, on separate paper, write a poem emphasizing local color. And it seems like every time students come to that, and then here at the bottom of the page, it says, poem should reflect some aspect of local color, and the supervisor is supposed to grade that. And students come to, Mr. A, what am I supposed to write? I don't know what this is. Okay, so let's talk about it real briefly and explain what you should do for the assignment. I'll give you a tip on how to write that, okay? So back here on page 14, it talked about Samuel Clemens, also known as Mark Twain. And of course, he wrote about life in Mississippi and would kind of paint scenes with his words and his pictures, word pictures. And then it talks about Mr. Riley, James Whitcomb Riley from Indiana, and he used terminology and even the way he wrote some of the words, you could tell that it was almost a kind of a southern twang to some of the words, and some examples of his writing there on page 17. So local color means using words, maybe talking about local places that people in that area know and would go and visit. But one of my favorite things with local color is to talk about some of the foods that are popular in that area. Here in Pennsylvania, where I live, people around here eat something called scrapple. Now, I did not grow up with scrapple, and I don't really care for it, but it's like all the inward guts of like a pig that then get chopped up and fried, and it's like a flat piece of sausage. I don't care for it, but it's definitely local color, all right? We have the Pocono Mountains near us, which are beautiful, and people go up there and do hunting and fishing, and there's sightseeing things to do up there. So that is something that people in this area would be familiar with, all right? Somebody, let's say, writing from Minnesota would probably write about snow, okay? Or they could write about ice fishing. I was actually born in Minnesota, in Brainerd, Minnesota, so I'm familiar with some of the things there. And so someone writing there, maybe they would talk about, there's a lot of Swedish people, that live there in Minnesota, in that area. And even the way they pronounce, some of the words, whatever. So I grew up for many years in Hawaii, and Hawaii definitely has some interesting local color aspects that could be drawn into writing a poem. Maybe something about the beach or body surfing, some of the foods that they have there. Filipino, maybe you live in another country like the Philippines and write about some of the food. Lumpia and pancit and some of the other great Filipino foods, some of the sights, some of the things that you would do to have fun. So you're trying to paint a picture with your words and in the poetry of what would be familiar to people in your area. Again, back here in our area of Pennsylvania, we have Pennsylvania Dutch. And they have they call it hexes. It's not a bad thing. It's a painting that they hang on the sides of barns. They have certain phrases that the Pennsylvania Dutch use and the way they pronounce words that's sometimes kind of funny. And so somebody here in Pennsylvania writing this poem could try to incorporate a little bit of Pennsylvania Dutch in their writing. But again, my big tip is think about scenery, all right, specific to your area, and things to do, and then secondly, think about foods that are kind of unique to your area and try to incorporate that somehow in your poem. All right, hopefully that helps you.